However, given that the LBMA bullion banks totally control silver price discovery via the trading of unlimited synthetic paper unallocated silver in London and similar unlimited paper trading of silver futures on the COMEX, then it would be a case of seeing how long the bullion bankers can keep up with their price manipulation scheme before something snaps and the silver deficit starts to direct influence of silver's price.
Connection established.
There's something extremely satisfying about exposing the truth backed by data, breaking the narrative of someone trying to mislead their audience for their own gains. And this article does just that. The silver shortage is an extremely controversial rabbit hole to dive into, and you guys know I'm a very controversial channel. I like talking about things others don't want to talk about. I will expose the elephant in the room. For example, last week's Silver's Role in the Green Economy conference held by the Silver Institute and the LBMA, which is the London Bullion Market Association, which admitted that their silver reserves are near empty, along with the COMEX and the LME, which is the London Metals Exchange. But regardless, I covered that. I also watched an interview from Keith Neumeyer being interviewed by Michelle McCory from Kitco News, obviously, and his thoughts on this. Also, listening to Phillips Baker from Hecla Mining talk about his thoughts on the silver shortage. Ironically, those two men that are in the exact same industry, Hecla Mining and First Majestic Silver, have completely different opinions on the silver shortage. Polar opposites. Phillips Baker, in his interview I covered live from Silver's Role in the Green Economy held by the LBMA, said that we have plenty of silver above ground, where Keith Neumeyer, in his interview I covered with Michelle McCory, Kitco News, said we do not, where they both mine around 10 million ounces annually a year, if I'm not mistaken. What's going on then? Well, the silver shortage is an extremely deep rabbit hole because it is hard to try to calculate these numbers when silver is a byproduct. We have to try to incorporate silver recycling like you see right here, investment demand, also industrial demand, also sectors that a lot of people don't incorporate, like military, for example, where it takes 500 ounces of silver to make one Tomahawk missile. And that when that Tomahawk missile drops that monster box of Eagles on the ground and it gets obliterated, that silver is never recycled. And there's very few silver mines. And silver's a lot harder to find than gold. So now that you are up to speed on this silver shortage, or a tiny fraction of this deep controversial rabbit hole, I want to share this article because they highlight some very important numbers that I think a lot of people overlook, and if they did take time to do this research, it might sway their opinion unless they're coming from a biased perspective, purposely overlooking this information for their own gains. So with that said, let's jump into this article. Make sure you like this video if you enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe because I post daily videos. There has been a significant imbalance in the physical silver market for the last 3 years, with demand exceeding supply. And it's not by just a couple million ounces. We're talking about hundreds of millions of ounces in the red. This is a problem since when silver demand is greater than silver supply, the extra demand must be met by eating into the world's finite and limited above ground silver stockpiles, which Phillips Baker, from the CEO of Hecla Mining, said we have plenty of. Where we really don't. It's ironic because the same conference that he mentions this is coming from the LBMA, London Bullion Market Association, that admitted that their silver reserves are near empty. So he's sitting in a room with the same people that are saying our reserves are empty, and he's saying that we have plenty. The silver deficit has been so persistent and systemic that it is being described by the Silver Institute as a structural deficit, which is a prolonged deficit that is due to underlying structural factors, technological advances, and a sharply growing industrial demand in an environment where supply, mine production, and recycling is unable to adjust upwards to keep pace with demand. And here's the point. I don't think a lot of people think of it like this. Okay, Since we already are setting record-breaking supply deficits and hundreds of millions of ounces in the red, for us to catch up, it would take another year. But in that next year, we're going to break another record. So we can never catch up. We would have to double the amount, which on a good year, we produce 850 million ounces, where demand, some are saying, is going to be 1.4 billion ounces this year. So it's impossible to catch up, and our reserves are running dry. So where's this silver going to come from, especially since who knows how many billions of ounces of silver we'll need by the year 2030, since PV cells, photovoltaics, which are used in solar panels, is skyrocketing, EVs is skyrocketing. Where is this silver going to come from? We can't even keep up with the demand now. The Silver Institute is a Washington, D.C. headquartered trade association that can be linked to the silver industry's equivalent of the World Gold Council. The members of the Silver Institute are predominantly silver mining companies and refiners. The Silver Institute's silver supply and demand data is collected and calculated by London-based precious metals consultancy Metals Focus. The Silver Institute and Metal Focus's supply and demand models basically as follows: total annual silver supply equals silver from mine production and silver recycling. Total annual silver demand is investment demand plus jewelry, silverware demand, and all forms of industrial demand. Sometimes people will overlook the military sector, though. Total annual silver supply is then compared to total annual silver demand. Any difference is called market balance, which is a negative if demand is greater than the supply, and positive if demand is less than the supply. A better name for market balance would be market imbalance. Likewise, a better way for the Silver Institute to define supply and demand equation would be silver supply, which is mine supply plus recycling plus dishoarding of existing stockpiles equals demand. With the Silver Institute estimating that silver supply in 2023 was a total of 1 billion ounces, 31,197 tons, comprising 820 million ounces of mine supply and 183 million ounces of recycled supply, and with total demand estimated by the Silver Institute of being 1.143 billion ounces, the deficit of market imbalance is 140 million ounces of silver in 2023. This deficit follows the years 2021 and 2022, which had silver demand deficits of 81 million ounces and 253 million ounces in the red, respectively. 2023 is expected to be the second highest year for annual silver demand ever, after 2022, which saw the highest total demand of 1.27 billion ounces. Therefore, over 3 years of 2021, 2022, and 2023, the Silver Institute estimates that there has been a cumulative silver deficit of a massive 474 million ounces. That is an alarming number. But wait, Silver Slayer, that's great, right? Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. Silver is becoming extremely scarce, meaning the price will go higher. Yeah, you'll make a pretty penny, but at what cost? Think about why we need all this silver. Because we're trying to save the planet from global warming and climate change. If you believe in that stuff, that's a whole separate video. But that's the reason, to go green, to try to push zero net emissions by the year 2050. That's why. So if we don't have enough silver for that to be possible, then what is that telling us? The Silver Institute Metal Focus is supply and demand model from 2013 to 2023, including total supply and demand market imbalance. Situation is made worse by the fact that not only is silver mining output not expanding to meet the higher demand, it's actually falling. Right? Yeah, demand has been falling for, I think, like 7 years now or something like that. Global silver output is expected to decrease by 2% year over year to 820 million ounces due to lower production from Mexico and Peru and Argentina. Mexico and Peru produce almost half of the global production, just those two countries alone, and they got hit hard from COVID, and that's why 2020 and on was such a crazy time. Plus, you had borders that were closed and minimal workers for safety reasons, and it was a mess, right? So anyways, note that global Silver output includes primary silver production, where the primary metal extracted from ore deposits is silver. Secondary production, where silver is extracted during the extraction processing of other metals such as zinc, copper, and lead. Basically, they're saying we find silver by accident. We're looking for gold, lead, zinc, copper. If we find silver, we'll take it, but we're not looking for it. Although the Silver Institute's annual World Silver Survey is published during April each year, this is followed up in November with a World Silver Survey interim presentation, which includes the updated data and commentary. So let's look at this. Deficit is expected to persist. Here we go. Last time we saw a surplus was in 2010. See what I'm saying? When I said like over the last 7-8 years, it's been getting worse. I'm not making that up. And do you see when last time silver was $50 was in 2011 when we saw a surplus? Annual silver deficit where demand exceeds supply is expected to continue into the future. Importantly, it's in its 2023 interim updates press release published on 16th of November 2023, Silver Institute quotes Metals Focus, which actually gathers data from the Silver Institute, saying the structural silver deficit will continue into 2024 and beyond. And beyond. That is crazy because demand is going to keep rising. I think it's photovoltaics, just that is expected to use all of the silver reserves by the year 2030. Just that alone, or 2050, sorry. Just that alone, not incorporating electric vehicles as well, and all the other sectors, silver, lithium-ion batteries. So think about that. Just that alone. So cut that in half, because we're not talking about just that. EVs are growing rapidly. A lot of people just talk about PV cells and solar panels when electric vehicles they have a lot longer of a half-life than solar panels, right? EVs, when that silver gets thrown in there, that EV will probably last who knows how many years nowadays as they get better, but you also have solar panels that have a very short half-life, thrown away in landfills, never to be recycled. All these mines are getting protested because of it contaminates the drinking water. The latest was in Canada. A silver mine tried to open up, but they protested it, and it got shut down. So that there is an ever-growing, or here's a tweet, by the way, Metals Focus Managing Director Philip Newman and Director of Mine Supply, or I'll just, Sarah Tomlinson, were pleased to attend the Silver Institute dinner and present the World Silver Survey Interim, and it discusses key supply and demand highlights. There is an ever-growing industrial demand for silver and an ever-expanding technological application or applications that require silver in itself is astounding. But it's even more astounding that Metals Focus and the Silver Institute do not even include all possible industrial uses, like I was saying, right? They're not incorporating military, a lot of key components. Remember, it takes 500 ounces in one single Tomahawk missile. And think 2 wars going on. Possibly World War II, who knows, or World War III. Who knows that nowadays. So Silver Institute does not even include all possible industrial uses in their demand data, something which I will look at below, in which was first highlighted by John Forrest Little, publisher of the Pickaxe and the Silver Academy. This is the article that I covered about military. This is an article that John Forrest Little, he actually reached out to me, by the way, because when I covered his article on the military bombarding basically our silver stockpiles, a lot of people, well, some people made some videos about me, but I showed the data and I showed the reasons why. And Andy Scheckman also, he was like, you know, I like his work, and what he said it's not impossible. It's something that I think now, even after that article got posted, evidence is coming out that's supporting it even more so. So I mean, that is, I think military is one that, because you got to think about like money. Think about money that's just mysteriously vanishing to the military. Or think about silver. Silver is needed mostly, I mean, all of the guns and all the technology and the satellites, it's all silver. So if we're running out of silver and we're trying to win these wars where we don't have enough silver to make satellites or tomahawk missiles, you could see why silver would be a top priority from the U.S. to fund the military, even more so than possibly going green. I mean, who knows what's going on behind the scenes there? But when he posted that or published that article and showed that, I covered it, and it wasn't crazy. Some people thought it was, but who knows, whatever. First, let's look at how the Silver Institute categorizes silver demand. In all of its reportings, it breaks down silver demand in the following broad categories. And by the way, now do you see why this rabbit hole is so deep? Even when information is posted, there's got to be some other deep, mysterious reason that makes these numbers even worse than they already are. Even though we're setting record-breaking supply deficits, these deficits could be even bigger because they're not incorporating other sectors for industrial demand. It's crazy. Investment demand, which is physical silver, jewelry, silverware, demand in photography, industrial demand for silver, and then you could go into many others, but that's main. Then you have EVs, then you have like ethylene oxide, consumer electronics, and electronics printing within electronics. Electrics is car electrification, onboard diagnostics, batteries, and electric vehicles. Printed silver for wearable devices. Demand is bedrock for contact materials. And Indian industrial demand, which is for like silver plating, silver nitrate. Chinese manufacturers, solar panels, nanoparticles. And that above is not a comprehensive list of full industrial uses, right? There we go, military. And that's what John Forrest Little said, right? That's what John Forrest Little said. They're not even incorporating military or aerospace, which is satellites, rockets, spacecraft, robotics and AI, heavy machinery, electric trains, hydrogen fuel cells. And then HVACs surpass solar use possibly as early as 2027. A lot of things. MRIs, superconductors and quantum computers, nuclear power plants used in transformers. Think about that. None of that's included. Remember, they're not including military. And as these wars get more serious, you could see why military would say, hey, we need a lot more of your silver because we have a lot more bombs and tanks and fighter jets and nukes to make, and night vision goggles and communication devices and bullets and tomahawk missiles. Give me that monster box. I need to make a tomahawk missile because the monster box has 500 ounces of silver in it. But you guys see what I'm saying, though. So even though we're saying that we have record-breaking supply deficits, these numbers are way, way bigger than they are portrayed to be. So, yeah, anyways, it keeps going on and on. This article is already very long. I don't want to keep going on, but you guys can see that this is a rabbit hole because then they go into COMEX corruption. We could go into a lot of different stuff. The Shanghai Gold Exchange. I mean, when I talk about the silver shortage being a rabbit hole, it is a rabbit hole. And then we can go into unallocated synthetic paper of unlimited trading, which is totally controlled. The LBMA is controlling silver price discovery via unlimited synthetic paper trading and unallocated silver credit in London, and similar unlimited trading of futures on the COMEX, seeing how long bullion bakers can keep up with price manipulation scheme before something snaps and the silver deficit starts to direct influence on silver's price. Wow. What a great conclusion to this massive just display of information proving that the silver shortage is real. What a great article. I didn't know this article would be as thorough as it was, or I probably would have made this video a little different, because this is incredible. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I'll post a link to this article in the description so you guys can go over it if you want, because there's some things I skipped over. So yeah, anyways, make sure you guys subscribe. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video. This is some great stuff. I really like this article. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.